Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Look here, y'all. Somebody wants me to take accountability on behalf of men, or wants men to take accountability for more than just being too easy. This is a black Muslim sister that wants me to do this, and I told her no, I'm not going to do that. Because you see, if we don't have the same options and the same power, then why should we? Maybe in societies in which we have more power, like the one in which I live, and even then, the ladies always find a way to circumvent it. So I'm not going to do that. And there's a lot that I don't know about the gender relations in this country, and so there's a lot I know I can tell you, and then there's a lot I don't know, and I admit I don't know. So I'm not equipped to take accountability on behalf of the men here either. I had to tell her this is not what's going to happen. Not because I'm biased, but because, you know what, for the mucket, I don't see evidence that men collectively need to take accountability for more than that, because most of us don't have these options. And that's what I keep trying to explain to some folks. But I have said that we men need to take accountability for one thing, and that is being too easy. And you know what? A lot of times, I talk about, because that's what the topic of discussion is, I talk about us approaching and pursuing women. What I want to talk about now is another way in which we're too easy, and that is in the ways that we raise our daughters, granddaughters, nieces, maybe even younger sisters. We're right to value them and love them and protect them and provide for them. We are wrong when we fail to tell them what they are not worth. We're right to tell them what they're worth. We're mistaken when we tell them that they're worth more, not only to us, but to everybody else around. You're a princess. A princess has an inherent value to other people that don't know her, never met her. We start telling them that we're peasants and they're royalty right off the bat. And mind you, this is the same gender that needs to look up to us in order for the species to continue. And so we turn around and tell them, no, we must look up to you. All we've done is make them unhappy, even unhappier than we are. That's it. It is our fault in that regard when couples cannot form and then stay together. That's the only way in which it is our fault. It is not our fault collectively because we smash and dash, pump and dump, conceive and leave, skeet and flee. That's not what we're doing as collectively as a whole. It's not even an option. So why do we owe an apology for that, owe any accountability, any sense of responsibility, when this is not even something that most of us could do? I mean, stop and think about it. You're systematically shut out of this, with a few men being the exceptions to that rule. And you're supposed to take accountability. But by the same token, we're sitting up here, and one of the reasons why it is that very few men even can match up with anyone is because we, specifically as black fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and even older brothers, have taken love and healthy self-esteem to the opposite extreme. We're not wrong for loving them. We're wrong because we tell them that they're princesses and that they're royalty. And then before you know it, nobody's good enough. We act like no one's ever going to be good enough, and they get that idea in mind, but they still have those needs below the belt. So what they do is they satisfy them cheaply with the men that every other woman wants, because that's the only way they know how to assess the men starting off. Do other girls like them? Remember, this is still the West. And a lot of this also starts off even when they're little, before they're fully speaking their parents' language. Watching Disney princess movies, You don't put these things in front of them without telling them this is not real. And you have to have that conversation before they watch it and after they watch it. You got to make them know before they see these princess movies. It's just for fun and entertainment. That's fine. It's not real. And as long as you remember that, you'll be okay in life. Then when it's over, you say to them, it's just a movie and I'm glad you enjoyed it, but it's not real. As long as you remember that real life isn't like that, you'll be okay in life. We don't have the decency to do that because we don't want to ruin something or spoil some fantasy. Well, when life spoils it for them, they still go through the same depression. Now, there's more than one way that this can play out, but the end result winds up being the same. And I wanted you gentlemen to keep this in mind. You may think that you're doing a service when you spoil them rotten, but you don't teach them accountability and responsibility. Now, I wasn't aware of how cultural this is, how systemic it is amongst us. We're not wrong for being very protective of them. That's okay too. The world is going to try to tear them down to a certain extent. But here we are reinforcing the notion to both our sons and our daughters that the son is worth less. He's expendable. He's just not valuable. And we keep teaching this and telling them this, and then we want to know why it is that we're dealing with the gender problems we're dealing with now. Let's be honest, that is on us. We did that to a certain extent. Yeah, you've got the stereotypical bitter single mom doing these things, but when we have families, couples that have formed and then therefore have formed families, we have to admit that oftentimes the men have gone along with this. And there are two reasons for it. One is the men's fault. We go along with it. The other one is the women's fault. When men don't go along with it, they drive those men off. I wish I had better news, but there will come a reckoning for this, and I'm part of the process. My son is also a part of it. We're here, as I have stated, to turn the tables over. We are here to turn mother against daughter, father against son, father against daughter, daughter against father, if either one of them is going to advocate for or even tacitly approve and enable the oppression of either gender at the hands of the other. We'll turn this on its head. But right now we see how much worse it is for both when it is the men that get oppressed by both other men and by women. It works out even worse at that point because couples don't form, families don't form. And when they do, they only form under this paradigm. That's ucked up if I ever saw it. Gentlemen, let's cut this mess out because in all honesty, the way things are going right now, my son and his age group, going up to my age group, parts of it, are going to start looking at these entitled attitudes in these ladies, and it's going to make them as unattractive to us as social impairments are to women when men have them. That entitled attitude is going to eventually become as unattractive to us as acne and buck teeth are in a guy to women. Some would say, well, you still be willing to use them for them draws. Well, what happens when they won't let you use them? And that's the only thing they're good for, but they still won't let you use them for the one thing for which they're good. They still insist and demand more. We move on to somebody else who's worth what they demand. And that's what we're pressing. And that message is spreading. And understand that in order to sidestep this, I wish I had something better to say, but in order to sidestep this, I will tell you this. To sidestep this, if we have to not marry Western sisters, well, as I've already stated, then that's what we'll do. And if it gets so far spread on the continent that we got to not marry them either, then that's what we'll do. And if this spreads throughout Latin America, we'll drop them too. That's what has to be done, so be it. So dads, granddads, uncles, very protective older brothers, and you're not wrong for, like I said, for loving, protecting, and providing for them. If you are not honest with them about what they're not worth, the way that we are with each other, just to set the balance, I mean, not to tear down their self-esteem, nor to build it to an artificial level. If you are not fair and balanced with this, and have these tough talks with them when they're young, and they're not going to be so tough, then understand that when they get older and dried, matter of fact, even before they get older and dried up, there's going to come a day when they pass a point of no return, and they cannot find for you a son-in-law, a grandson-in-law, and you can hang up grandkids within wedlock. You can throw that idea out. Because we are here to upset, even if it's considered upsetting the natural order, then so be it. Because it won't be us that upset it. It was already upset when not only certain moms, but dads who just love their daughters so much that they didn't have the decent, or they actually love them so much that they would rather hate them and keep from them valid information than to tell them the truth, gave in and ruined them. You a princess, you royalty, these men are peasants, even saying things like little boys are stupid when she's a little girl, even stuff like that is going to put in her mind male inferiority. And then when she gets older, it'll be fine that she's accomplished. It'll be fine that she has self-esteem, healthy self-esteem. What won't be fine is that she will see men as being inferior already, and then on top of that, she will have focused on becoming so superior that no man qualifies. Then she's by herself. She wanted to be a goddess, which means being by herself and being unequaled. There you go. And you still didn't reach goddesshood. You're just human with the solitude of the Lord. Thanks for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum. A black heterosexual non-select male power, because they don't like it, and black patriarchy till extinction or judgment day.